Knowing what your HbA1c is, so that's a measure of how much sugar has been floating around in your bloodstream for the previous 3 months.
How you measure longevity and the different tests that you run. Could you talk us through that?
Yeah, so in the NHS, we have lots of tools that are available for testing. So I don't want this to be about only the private world because there's lots available to people through the NHS. So there's loads of screening tools available. So cervical screening, a mammogram, and the poo test, checking for blood in the stool, lots available. And I think people should be encouraged to go for their regular screening when they're invited. If you're proactive and you go see your healthcare provider, you can talk to them about some tests that everybody really should be thinking of having. And by that, I'm talking about things like knowing what your HbA1c is. So that's a measure of how much sugar has been floating around in your bloodstream for the previous 3 months. And that's an indication of whether you're metabolically healthy or are you on the road to prediabetes, type 2 diabetes. Insulin resistance is huge and it's attributable to so many chronic lifestyle related conditions now. So I think knowing what your HbA1c is really important. Privately, we do something called fasting insulin. So it is available, but not as widely as HbA1c. But fasting insulin is an upstream marker of that. So we use that rather than simply the HbA1c, because often we see insulin is higher before the HbA1c starts to rise. So we get this hyperinsulinemic state. I think knowing what your lipid levels are is really important because that gives you an idea of something called your Q risk, which your healthcare provider can work out. And then that therefore is a risk of your cardiovascular health moving forward.